In this clip, I'd like to introduce you to something called a perfect square trinomial. And I'm just going to keep it simple for now. I'm just going to show you how this works with type 1 trinomials, where the a value is 1. It's not necessarily a new factoring strategy because you can use type 1 and type 2 trinomial strategies, the man or mega man methods, to actually factor these. But there is a neat pattern within perfect square trinomials that, if you recognize it, can make things a little bit quicker for you. And it's also a strategy that we will be pulling out later on when we're working on completing the square as a strategy for finding the vertex of a parabola. So if you remember, trinomials that we looked at are in the general form ax squared plus bx plus c. And perfect squared trinomials have a special pattern to them in that the c value is equal to the b value divided by 2 squared. So for example, if I give you x squared plus 10x plus 25, this is a perfect squared trinomial. It's a type 1 trinomial, one of the simpler ones. But if you take 10 and divide it by 2, you get 5, and 5 squared is 25. So this is a perfect squared trinomial because the c value at the end here is equal to the b divided by 2, 10 divided by 2 squared. And now I'm going to show you just why this is kind of has a neat pattern to it. So this is a type 1 trinomial. I'm going to use the simple man method to factor it. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to my c value of 25 and add to my b value of 10. And those two numbers are 5 and 5. So I'm going to take my two numbers and I'm going to put them into my factors. So I've got x plus 5 times x plus 5. And again, you can kind of visualize it. If I FOILed it out, I would have x times x, which is x squared, x times 5, which is 5x, another 5x here, which combines to be the 10x in the middle, and then 5 times 5 is our 25. And then the neat thing here is that we know x plus 5 times x plus 5 can also be written as x plus 5 squared. And that's what makes this special. When we have a perfect squared trinomial where the b value divided by 2 squared is equal to the c value, well, then when we find our factors, we're actually going to have a factor that can be squared. And that will be true for all perfect squared trinomials. So just to conclude then, and I just want to show you this in general, again, we can always go back to our type 1 or type 2 trinomial factoring strategies if we don't see the pattern. But if you do see the pattern, things can be, you can actually make things a little bit quicker. If you see that x squared plus bx plus b over 2 squared is your trinomial, then your factor is going to be x plus b over 2 squared. Because you'll note, if I go back up to this example, that whatever your b value divided by 2 is, will be your number that's inside your factor with your x. So b divided by 2 squared will always be your factor here. Okay, you can do this as well for type 2 trinomials, and there's a little bit more of a pattern to it, but we will look at that in another clip at another time.